let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to Wowhead Weekly show 149. If you've been keeping up, this is actually my 7th show here. Time is going so fast. 7 shows already. I'm Annie, or Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch, and now I'm your weekly, or Wowhead Weekly host for these shows. My co-host is the lovely WoW website director, Perculia.
Hey everyone! If you are mostly on Twitch, you might not know me as much. I run Wowhead, so I oversee the news and the guides and what features we add, like the flying tool or transmog model viewer stuff. And yeah, we just discussed everything that's new this week in WoW, covering, data mining and interesting events and cool spoiler stuff. And it's a really exciting time with all of this constant battle for Azeroth news. So, speaking of that, we've got some lore spoilers, we've got Ulduar, we've got a bunch of class mechanic changes as well to cover today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we should put the
maybe
spoiler
we should,
tag up.
Yeah,
And,
I was just gonna say that.
it.
Time for the spoiler tag. Time for people to mute the show if you don't want to get spoiled. There we go. Spoiler tag is up. So the first thing that we will be covering, or we'll be talking about, is the Horde starting scenario. A scenario which is not available anymore, right, Perculia?
Yeah, they enabled it for a bit on beta, and then I don't think it was finished, or there's too many lore bombs, so they disabled it maybe to polish it some more. But Novel was able to film it and share the footage with us, so we were able to transcribe it. And there's some pretty serious stuff that goes down in this scenario. We were hinting at this last week in the broadcast text, and now we can actually see how it fits together. And the main points, what we've learned is that Thalarissa, Rokon, and Skyhorn and Nathanos Blightcaller go to rescue Sourfang and Princess Talanji and Zul from the Stormwind prison after the battle for Lordaeron. And
it's actually a really cool quest line, because you can watch Noble actually playing through this, and it's like made comedic in a way also, where like you're kind of like just sneaking into Stormwind, going into the stockades through, what was it, like some kind of underground pipe?
Yeah,
like that was really funny.
Yeah.
And then you go inside and you rescue the prisoners, and the one that we were rescuing was Saurfang, Talanji, and Zul, indeed.
Yeah, and there's still some cutscenes we haven't seen yet, and something interesting, there's going to be a cutscene where Sourfang decides he's not going with you, and he's going to go talk to Anduin instead, and it's sort of comedic because they're like, oh, aren't you going to, come with us? And Sourfang's like, are you going to make me? And they're like, no. You didn't give us that command, so yeah, we're not going to push you to come with us, like, go off to the Alliance. So
yeah.
We don't know what happens to Sourfang, but I have some theories based on some data mining stuff we'll discuss later on. But yeah, so Sourfang does not escape with them. He's still in Stormwind at the end of this.
And he also left in a funny way, because he just kind of like walked up to the Lion's Guards like, yeah, well, let's go meet Anduin. And they just listen to him. They just follow him. Like, no one's trying to say otherwise. That was quite funny.
Yeah, like he's a badass, go through.
Yeah, just get through. But yeah, it's interesting because we don't really know what happens after that. We just know that he left to meet Anduin, and then we'll see. We'll see what that will lead to.
Yeah. So then as you escape, there's even more cutscenes we don't know yet, but essentially you stealth out of the city, and then you're ambushed by Gen and the Worgen. And that doesn't go too well for the Horde. They keep trying to escape, but then Jaina comes up to them and finds them as well. And then this really interesting thing happens where Zul drops a torch which blocks their path because there's fire in the way. And then Jaina manages to like blink ahead and frost nova them in place and says that she's going to kill them. And then Zul manages to have his torch magically explode and engulf Stormwind in flames. So then Jaina has to use her frost magic to put the fire out instead of killing the Horde trying to escape. So Zul has some serious magic powers, and he's always up to no good. Like, he caused the disturbance in Pandaria. He caused them being hostile in Cataclysm. Like, I did it just Stormwind burning.
And where
It's like,
did
wow,
he?
like the Horde burns Tal'Dasil and now they're burning
Stormwind?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where did he even get the torch from?
Yeah, it's just how was he I don't know, maybe he just conjured, like was it a magical torch? Like you
We
can't
don't know.
have the city just burn that naturally in like
Yeah.
5 minutes. Um but yeah, I think that was a real shocker. I'm glad to see, Jaina kind of being a badass in that situation, but right now with all the info, it seems sort of the Horde seems kind of like villainous if they're just burning Alliance cities. Like they seem kind of, you know, they seem more clear cut evil than the Alliance quest lines, which are sort of like reacting to the Horde or diplomacy. Like I don't think the Horde planned to burn down Stormwind. I think Zul was really escalating the situation, but it's just not a good look for the Horde currently. They seem very aggressive.
Yeah, I actually heard a lot of feedback from this as well. There's actually a lot of Horde that are commenting like, "Oh, I feel bad. Like, why is our faction always the bad one?" And like, there's, or not the bad one, but like the evil one.
Yeah.
And we go more into things that are hinting towards that a bit later when we cover some other stuff. But it is interesting that things like this are happening. Burning down the whole of Stormwind, like that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it does set up the storyline where the Zandalari and Zul are at odds if the Horde's like, oh, get these prisoners and escape. And Zul's like, hey, I'm going to make my presence known by burning everything down and further escalating everything.
Yeah.
And then the Zandalari are like, we kind of don't want to follow your rule. We'd rather just follow, the princess and the king.
Yeah. Wait, do we know why they were prisoned in the first place? Because it felt like there was no real answer to that. Like, we don't know yet.
There is a cutscene
Yeah.
called something like Sylvanas Gives the Mission, and we don't have that yet. We just know that they want to help the Zandalari because the Zandalari has a very large naval fleet, and the Horde needs them to take advantage of their fleet. But yeah, we don't know why they were imprisoned. I assume maybe after Mr. Pandaria was such a disaster for, the Zandalari trying to just annoy everybody that maybe they got imprisoned as a result of that situation. Like, oh, you guys created the Isle of Thunder and resurrected Laisha, and this is bad. Like, we're going to put you in prison now.
Okay, yeah.
But we don't know that for certain. That wasn't visible yet. So yeah, just to clarify, there were 3 cutscenes which were not visible in the cinematic. Sylvanas getting the mission, Sourfang deciding to go to the Alliance, and then the Worgen ambushing the Horde, escaping. So, yeah.
On to the next scenario.
Yep.
So for the Alliance players, again, this scenario is also gone from the alpha, but it was available. You played, or you were able to take part in a scenario which apparently takes place after the whole like Horde people sneaking in and rescuing Sarfang, Talanji, and Zul. So in this one, we are talking to Anduin, who is talking about how we need to do something about the fact that Horde now has the Zandalari behind them. So we need to also kind of like gain strength in one way or another. And that's when the Kulti Raz are mentioned. Yeah. Because they were experts in, was it naval?
Yeah, so, they made their naval base. They were, pirates, seafaring, maritime nation. And they're like, hey, Jaina, why don't you go back and convince your, family's empire to join us?
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward as we see later on. But yeah, so Jaina is... Because what Jaina wanted to do was to fight back the Horde. That's what she wanted. She's like, no, like, let's not waste time. Let's get the Horde.
She's like, I just saw a Stormwind burning. They just ran through Stormwind.
Yeah. We can't just let them go. But Anduin is like, we got something more important to worry about here. Or not to worry, but to take care of here. And you're the right person. And that's because her mother is going to be our main contact into the Kultiras. So... that's what we get to see in this scenario. What happens after we travel is kind of like a cutscene. It just kind of puts us in a new room, and we are imprisoned.
Yeah, and there is a line in the data that is IGC for in-game cinematic, and the description is, Catherine rejects Jaina and exiles her. Player is arrested.
Yeah.
So that did not go well for Jaina.
No, it did not. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen there, but it seems to be a little bit of a struggle, not as smooth of a transition as Anduin might have hoped.
Yeah. So the scenario isn't totally complete, but we do get to play through you escaping from the prison with an Alliance player named Flynn. And then you go into the Kulturas marketplace and you start spying. And it just sort of ends there because the scenario was in a zone that wasn't yet open. So once you like finished the prison part, you got ported out when you went into the next part of the quest line. But we data mined a bunch of broadcast text that essentially implies that something is up with all the major houses of Kulturas, including Proudmoore and the Ashvane family. And there's been a lot of things where people are now trying to find Jaina in exile, and they're meeting resistance, and that House Proudmoore and Ashvane are working together, and one branch controls the military, and one controls the nation's wealth. And there's even some data mine text with Lady Ashvane talking about how she is in league with Queen Ashara and, like, summons some, I don't know, like, angry water thing to destroy a city instead of letting us control it. So it may be that Jaina's mom is, I don't know, mind controlled or corrupted by the sea gods or something. If it's surprising that she was, you know, had a falling out with Jaina.
Yeah.
So we don't know
such a lot of things going out there. Yeah.
We just thought it would be cool to highlight because, you know, I think everyone assumed that, like, oh, it's Jaina, she's back, and, like, Jaina must have been networking with Kulturas, and now she's going to come back and battle for Azeroth with this, like, naval ships behind her, and it's totally the opposite, so we thought it was still important to highlight that part of the scenario.
I just noticed a resub in the chat, so Tenno20, thank you very much for the resub, and he says, for the Alliance.
Before we get into the next topic, I also wanted to mention for people watching, we have a giveaway going on for the new dog mount, and the keyword is doggo, D-O-G-G-O. So, yeah.
So yeah, you just type that in the Twitch chat to enter the raffle.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the spoiler tag has to still stay because we have some more stuff to discuss.
This one is so weird. Yeah.
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I can take it. So we got some broadcast text that's related to Teldrassil and Lordaeron. Christy Golden did have a tweet saying, bear in mind that some of the stuff that has been unearthed is not accurate. We think that means it lacks context because, I mean, we data mined it. Maybe Blizzard's putting in false dialogue for us. We don't know. But it's pretty shocking. So we've got Sylvanas. There's lines being like, War Chief, may I ask why we want to capture Teldrassil? Time is sensitive here, but I respect that you seek to know more. No matter what I do, this will change the balance of power, meaning Azerite. And Azerite sightings are coming in from around the world. We still do not know its full potential, we only know that it will create a new generation of warfare. What will war look like in 20 years? In 100? We take this Azerite and use it to conquer. We build the greatest empire ever known, one that is untouchable against the Alliance. With the seas parting our lands rather than mere borders, we can live and prosper without conflict. That is how you ensure the survival of the Horde for the next 100 years. So,
yeah,
she's definitely. I'm gonna burn Teldrassil. I'm gonna take advantage of that whole continent.
She's fierce.
She did seem to have mild regrets because she also says the Horde's children and their children's children will curse our memories as they burn. If life had any mercy at all, you and I would exist in peace for the rest of our days. We have both seen enough of war, but neither of us has seen the last of it. So to me, that means that she knows that she's doing the wrong thing, but she thinks it will benefit generations in the future.
Yeah.
Or she's worried that the Alliance would use Azeroth to, like, make a nuclear bomb and then wipe out the Horde, so she wants to just, like, preemptively take this big action and then have a continent for herself and then never have war again. But it's... Yeah, I mean, just between hearing that and then the Stormwind burning, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't seem like a gray story. It fully seems like Horde is the aggressor, Garrosh 2.0, you know.
So... And there's some other questions to be asked as well, like how she kind of focuses on the idea of splitting Alliance and Horde with the sea, making the continent her own, but then Undercity is on the other continent. Like,
Right.
It feels like, did she think that through? Because
Right.
if she's extra aggressive against the Alliance on Kalimdor, what's going to happen on Eastern Kingdom?
Exactly. So I'm hoping there's more. I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. Like, I remember back in Mist of Pandaria when, like, visions of Stormwind were data mined burning and stuff. People were like, "Oh my God!" Like, something happens to Stormwind, and it turned out to be, like, visions of Garrosh in the Siege of Orgrimmar encounters. So I don't know. Maybe this is like, I don't know, an alternate reality, or like, I don't know, like a image trick of Sylvanas. I'm not sure, but right now it looks pretty. Horde is the aggressor and is totally taking control for burning down Teldrassil.
And then on topic of Sylvanas, there was more on her as she has a conversation with Sarfang and she's sort of taunting him.
Yeah, that was not cool.
Yeah, like not being too concerned about him dying, hinting or saying that, he can then meet his son, or maybe she should raise him as a dead or as an undead. Like, I don't know, the whole thing makes Sylvanas seem really evil.
Yeah. So it seems that this all triggered when someone says, blast the siege towers, and Saurfang is like, it seems to imply that Saurfang does not want to blast the siege towers and kill the Horde, because there's a line being like, "Do not question me, Saurfang. We must draw their attention from my Azerite war machine so we can destroy the towers. Casualties are inevitable." And then there seems to be a line about honor, because then she says, "Honor means nothing to a corpse, Saurfang. You have the luxury of underestimating death, but it is something with which I am intimately familiar. Maybe you don't care if your people die so long as it is honorable, but to me this Horde is worth saving. Anyone who disagrees does not deserve to stand against us. So die your warrior's death, High Overlord Saurfang. It means little to me. Perhaps I will raise your broken body to serve me once more. Or perhaps you will have a chance to say hello to your son."
Yeah.
So, that does not seem very, there's definitely driving a wedge between them. And I have a bizarre theory that, how the Alliance are getting the Void Elves, which look like the Blood Elves, and the Horde get the Nightborn, which look like, the Night Elves. So I have a bizarre theory that Saurfang is like, "This is not honorable. I'm going to Anduin, and we'll have Mag'har orcs join the Alliance." And then, Lady Proudmoore and her people that hate Jaina are going to be like, "Hey, we don't like Jaina. We're going to join the Horde," type of thing.
I mean, that would be absolutely crazy. I can't imagine that happening. It's a crazy idea, which based on what we know right now would be possible, but that would be crazy. I mean, the Alliance and Horde, the idea of humans versus orcs, that's the sort of almost the core of Horde versus Alliance. That would be so weird.
I know. There's just something is up with Saurfang. If Sylvanas is taunting him, he's questioning her. He says it's not honorable, and then he doesn't want to escape, and instead goes, "Yeah, I'm going to talk to Anduin instead."
Yeah, because we don't know what happened after that. We still don't know. The last thing that happened with Starfang was him walking up with the Alliance guards to meet Anduin. But, yeah. I mean, it's definitely sort of trying to give us the hints of it, but I don't think it would happen. I mean, I think it would be too crazy. But I guess we don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. There's also one side note. We still don't know what turns the victory for the Alliance, because we keep data mining dialogue where it's like, "Oh, we're outnumbered. Oh, there's too many. Oh no, they're on our last legs." But we data mined a new line called the Void Elves. Their numbers are endless. So it implies that, Alaria's brought the Void Elves to the fight, and they might be the key in turning the tide of victory. And it's also nice to see the allied races playing a role in the story moving forward,
being
too.
Useful, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's actually really nice to see. So the Void Elves can feel helpful for the Alliance, and the Alliance can feel like, hey, these allied races are awesome in terms of helping us.
Interesting thinking about it more, because, a lot of the races were neutral and they chose a faction, but with the Void Elves, it's like, they were fully members of the Horde,
Yeah.
so they might actually have like really intimate knowledge of how to navigate that terrain because
Oh
the Blood
yeah.
Elves and the
Yeah.
Forsaken, were on good terms, and the Forsaken brought them into the Horde,
Mm-hmm.
and the cities are close by, so who knows, maybe they have some tactical things or ways to get into the city that help the Alliance, having recently been a member of the Horde.
Yeah.
It was also probably really bad for morale too. If it's like, oh, like, look at these people, like they've defected, to the opposite faction, and they used to be part of us. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely heavy stuff. And again,
Mm-hmm.
Christy Golden says that the story is not yet complete.
So there might
Maybe,
be some things which are out of context or
yeah, or
something.
maybe they just put this in to like, maybe they're trolling us. Maybe they're just like, oh,
Fake
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Fake news.
So, yeah.
No, I think it's probably not fake, as in like not like relevant at all, but it might be like out of context or something, which makes it a little bit difficult to understand
Yeah.
or to piece together, rather.
Yeah, we did for some of the dialogue blocks. It was data mined as like 5 sentences in a row, so we didn't scramble the sentences. But it could be maybe Sylvanas doesn't say them, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's something we don't know. Maybe an old god is like, maybe someone's faked a missive, and people are like, oh, Sylvanas wrote this, but it's not her. It's some person trying to cause trouble. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think we can take the spoiler tag off
Yeah.
now. We've got some class things and then some cool model stuff with BFA as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Some new class stuff.
yeah.
So to start off the new class updates, there was one hot topic which a lot of people mentioned to me as well as a warlock. Demonology warlock seems to have gotten a lot of new talents and abilities, and some of them have also been removed completely. I'm not sure if the spec is complete as it is at the moment, but there were some core abilities that were gone. Like I think Hand of Gul'dan was one of them, and it sounds a bit to me like Demonology might be going through a little revamp, which is pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
so far we've gotten like in the build on Tuesday we got 11 new talents right now.
Hmm.
And some things like Hand of Doom, and Summon Darkleer and Shadowy Inspiration, Prove Dreadstalker's Implosion were removed, and instead we get things like Inner Demons making Imp Swarm a passive ability, or Overloaded. We also got some new core abilities returning, so we got Demon Commander, which is increases the duration of all your current demons and increases the damage of all demons. We got Imp Swarm, we've got Molten Core, and we have Soulfire. And I think some of these were around in previous expansions and then got
Hmm.
demoted. Um, and then a few similar sounding abilities got removed. So they're just kind of shuffling things around and like
Hmm.
taking some like utility or aspects of spells and kind of like sticking them together in different ways. But yeah, it's definitely a work in progress.
Hmm.
There's one Summon Vile Fiend which looks really cool. It's like the Argus demon mount thing that's a little summonable pet. It looks pretty cool. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's I don't know. It really feels like a work in
Yeah.
progress.
Yeah. Definitely looks
So
like a targeted revamp at least. I think some people knew about it as well. I think they mentioned it in the past, so now you can
yeah,
see the work in progress. Like something's happening. If you're a Demo Warlock or someone who used to enjoy Demo Warlock and didn't like the current one, well, maybe you'll be interested in the new one then.
yeah. There's also an interesting hunter talent called Animal Companion. It says not yet implemented yet, so that means you can't test it on the beta, but it's your call pet additionally summons the first pet from your stable. This pet will obey your kill command but cannot use pet family abilities. And that to me sounds like a solution for people that liked the vibe of having Hati out, the
Mm-hmm.
Beast Mastery artifact. So, you can have your pet doing damage, but then you have like the flavor pet still by your side as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe they will add that, and maybe that can be a way for Hati to live on.
Did we hear anything about Hati? Like what is going to happen with Hati?
Not officially.
Okay.
So people are speculating that like maybe this will be a way to keep that functionality. But I think a lore reason would be cool too, so it's not like, oh, did he officially die in the lore type
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. Like lore wise, if we heard anything. So I guess not yet.
No,
I guess
nothing
we'll see.
official from that. There is also the new Mythic Plus affix, which is Blight. And
I like this one.
yeah, do you want to discuss it a little bit?
Well, we can present it first. So
Okay,
what
yeah.
this new Mythic Affix does is damage and healing done increased when injured and reduced when healthy. So it sounds to me like your damage and healing is increased if you're not at 100% HP, and if you're at 100%, it gets sort of nullified. Am I right? And
Yeah.
that's really interesting because then that means I have a good excuse to keep using my Burning Rush, you know. Even if there's no damage being done, I'll just keep Burning Rushing so I can take a little bit of damage so that my damage is increased. No, but I think that's really interesting because I think that does kind of give healers a reason to not fully heal people. And I think it also gives people a reason, or not people a reason, it gives shield healers a bit of an advantage because they don't have to heal someone to full, to 100%, but they can just shield them, which would still keep their damage and healing buff up, which is quite cool. And
I'm also curious if we'll see this at the MDI because they just announced that the Proving Grounds were starting for qualifiers at the end of February. So it would be cool if there was like an exhibition match or something where you could see Blight in action.
Yeah. And yeah, as Taylor mentioned in the chat as well, like now ranged people might actually have a legit reason to stand in stuff that does damage to you. Like fire does actually increase your damage after all. in good amounts, not in too much amounts. But yeah, I thought that Mythic Affix was pretty interesting. I think it'll be fun to play around with.
Yeah, and just to wrap up the general highlights, there are new world PvP settings that only let you toggle PvP on or off in Stormwind and Argrimmar. So, you know, Blizzard announced that there were like a lot of world PvP changes coming, and we're starting to see hints of that in the global strings.
I want to actually mention a little bit more on that because there were some people who were asking questions. Well, not asking questions, but they were wondering if, like, should they choose an RP server or should they choose, or not just RP, should they choose a PvP server or a non-PvP server? And just as a reminder, or maybe news to some people, in the next expansion, servers will no longer be marked as PvP or non-PvP. Instead, what you have is the ability to toggle PvP on or off by going into the cities, and once you go outside with the, let's say if you decide to have PvP on, it will lead to certain benefits or perks. We don't know exactly what. Might be item rewards, might be experience, we don't know, for deciding to, you know, take the more risky route of having your PvP flag on. So if you're someone who's not sure about a server because you're scared of the PvP, don't worry about it. That's actually going away. You will be able to choose toggle on and off your PvP. So it's good to know.
So we have even more Warlock updates, which is exciting for you, Annie.
So much Warlock love.
We've got a new Drain Life and Incinerate effect. I also want to point out that some people have been asking us to show these effects with Green Fire, and we actually farmed the tome on beta, but the way mob scaling is, we can't really complete the scenario even on 110. But it's something we definitely want to show whenever we can.
Is it possible to copy characters from live?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
that's
we
a
had
good
one
point.
of
I
our,
didn't think about that because everything would be Felgreen then instead.
Yeah, so people are like, oh, show this, but we definitely want to whenever character copy happens.
But yeah, let me show you guys how it looks like. So we showed Incinerate before, and it's gone through a little bit of a change now. And Drain Life is something we have not shown, I think, so that will be completely new.
Yeah.
Here. So this is the Drain Life one. Hopefully the sound is not too loud. I'll turn it down just in case it is too loud. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. It starts off with the green when it's like near the character, and as it goes to the target, it turns purple. I think it looks really cool.
Awesome.
Like Drain Life has always looked really, really boring, so that's a really cool change. And as for Incinerate, here we go. So the main change with Incinerate compared to last week is that it doesn't zigzag as much as it used to. I think otherwise it's pretty wait, I also noticed it's It's touching the ground. I don't know if it was always touching the ground.
We think, yeah,
that was like a new angle for me, so I'm not sure if that part was new, but I thought that looked pretty cool. That might have been there before.
It
though.
like wobbles a bit more. I'm comparing it in the old Twitch clip and the new one. It's like it goes more like vertical, while the old revamped one was more like horizontal zigzag.
Okay.
That was a terrible way of explaining it. But in the linked Wowhead post, we have a Twitch VOD for the Incinerate version on 2.13, and then we have a version from like the build before, so you can see what it looked like previously.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the main change is definitely the zigzag, not being as zigzaggy. But I think it still looks pretty cool. I think the idea of zigzag is that's kind of what it is now, but it's not as fiery. So yeah, I guess they're still playing around with it. We'll see what they decide to keep at the end. But I think it still feels nice to know that they're working on Warlock stuff. So, or just spell effects in general is always nice to see that they're working on.
Yeah. Next week we should have even more spell effects because we want to do little clips of all the demonology Warlock talents. So stay tuned for that. Mm-hmm. So melee classes also got some love. There was a big change for feral druids, warriors, rogues, as well as some other specific abilities like the arms warrior rend. And bleeds and poisons now scale with haste. So this should hopefully make haste more valuable for these specs. And some details is that the overall duration of the dot doesn't change. So for example, rake will still last for 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. However, the tick time of the dot decreases with haste. So for example, rake ticks every 3 seconds, but if you have more haste, the tick will be faster than 3 seconds, and the damage per tick does not change.
And that's how it is for most dot classes already, right? Like magic dots.
Right, but the bleeds and poisons operated differently, so these melee classes are getting some love.
Yeah, which means that haste will be a lot better of a stat.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot the word.
I think in the past they've said that, this is something we don't want to do, so it's interesting that they're playing around with that now. And thanks to Aethys from Simcraft for pointing this out for Wowhead, and Archie for pointing out more details on how some arms warrior abilities scale with that too. Another thing, which is kind of big and controversial, we broke the news on this, and then we were missing some information, and Blizzard clarified some of the things people were worried about, is that there's a big hunter pet specialization revamp happening in Battle for Azeroth. And basically what we found is that each family is assigned a specialization, and you can't change a specialization. And each specialization has 2 interesting utility abilities, and then each pet family has gotten more abilities, so every family has like an interesting basic attack, but then like a unique utility type effect, as opposed to some pets just being totally boring. So this initially caused controversy because people associate specialization names with like the tank pet spec and like the DPS pet spec. So when people heard that the pets were forced into a specialization, people were like, oh no, like my spirit beast is now stuck as a tank, like I can never use it to DPS in a raid. And Blizzard clarified it by saying that they want to move past the idea of a DPS and tank pet specialization, and in Battle for Azeroth, all pets have equal damage, health, and armor. All can tank and DPS equally. Choosing to put a particular pet into tank spec feels outdated, so we're going to shift all pets to a setup that will work as though they're spec'd into both ferocity and tenacity in Legion terms. And just pets will just have unique flavor utility abilities, as opposed to like one only has like, the DPS abilities, etc. So there's a lot of concerns where people were like, oh, but I love this pet, and like now I can't use it in this situation. So hopefully that should clear things up, how Blizzard wants like all pets to do, good tank
to do
or
everything.
DPS.
Yeah, so if you have a favorite pet and you normally would tank with it, you should be able to still do that. So You don't need to worry about it. So there were some differences in abilities, and I think most of them are like utility, so it shouldn't really affect their ability to tank or DPS or anything like that. So it's pretty good information because that means that you don't have to worry anymore. If you have a favorite pet, and I think in the example there you wrote Fluffy. If you have a favorite pet called Fluffy, yeah, you can still play with Fluffy. No worries. Fluffy will still tank for you and still DPS for you as well. We also got some example abilities here under ferocity. Wait, how do you say that? Ferocity, tenacity, and cunning. So there you can see examples of different abilities that go under the different types. And so
just a quick note on the Primal Rage, the Bloodlust one. Blizzard said that in Legion, all hunters could get pets with Bloodlust and Battle Res, but they were only limited to a handful of families, so you kept seeing those pet families show up a lot. So Blizzard has changed that to where no pets have Battle Res, and then Bloodlust was then expanded to being a third of all pets that were classified as Ferocity, as opposed to just like, okay, well, I can only use a Core Hound, I can only, use a Nether Ray.
It was only 2 of them before, right? That could use it.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, a third of all pets can have this as their unique perk.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to promote more variations. So if you aren't into RP with your pet but you want to try pets out, now you feel you can, maybe mix things up or have a greater variety if you want that ability, so you're not just, limited to the Core Hound.
They also commented the what the thought was behind Battle Res being removed, and I think they mentioned how both Heroism or Bloodlust and Battle Res are really, really powerful tools. Like one is defensive, one is offensive in a way, and they don't want hunters to have both. So what they did was remove Battle Res but make Bloodlust like more available with more pets.
Yeah, like they're really into classes having different types of utility and not having every class do the same type of utility to different strengths. So it's like, well, hunters can be the class that can bring Bloodlust, but they're not going to be the class that can bring Bloodlust and, a version of Battle Res.
Yeah.
Each pet will get 2 basic abilities and then the 2 special spec abilities. And then each pet family also has a special ability that's themed to that family. So, for example, cats get cat-like reflexes, increasing dodge chance, while the Spirit Beast has a new ability called Spirit Shock that removes enrage and magic effects.
Mm-hmm.
Every pet now has like 2 or 3 abilities, and they kept flavor abilities in as well, like Trick, which is something that makes your bird of prey do a little loop type thing.
Mm-hmm. And was it the bear sleeping?
Yeah, the bear gets to rest.
Yeah, get to keep those. So that's nice.
So they're thinking of things like ankle crack for a snare, or monstrous bite for mortal healing reduction, shell shield for reduced damage, agile for dodge, thick hide for reduced damage taken at low health. And they might add flavor abilities that are the effect of tranquilizing shot as well, but that's not currently in the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Just to reiterate the whole, we also have a post on Wowhead that lists all the new abilities and any pets that have changed families. And there was a lot of concern that the Spirit Beast family was now the quote tank spec. But just keep in mind that while the specs are using the old names, it's not like this pet now does bad DPS.
Mm-hmm.
They all do the same amount of DPS. So I'm glad Blizzard clarified that, because we found it over the weekend and a lot of people were very worried they can no longer use their Fluffy. So
Fluffy can be in again. Everyone's happy now. But yeah, that was it for the class changes for the week. The next data mine information, which is interesting, is First Aid seems to get I guess you could call it a revamp, somewhat of a revamp. It seems like First Aid is being removed because we see that all the First Aid achievements are gone, and anything other kind of lines or anything that is related to First Aid is also gone. And instead, those recipes seem now to be found in tailoring. which kind of makes sense because
Yeah,
tailors.
it's like first aid was like the cloth dump, so it's like,
Yeah.
well, now tailoring is also uses cloth.
Yeah, like they tailors were always using cloth anyways, so they might as well take everything. And first aid was never really used that much by people anyways.
Yeah, it was always a joke like, oh, the warrior bandage back, you know, you sit around and bandage your other people on the team.
There were some people who were a little bit sad because they were like, oh, but now I can't, beat that boss in ICC if I can't heal. Like, that was the only way I was healing. But, I mean, if you have a tailor friend or, the auction house will probably be, like, filled with the items, so it shouldn't really be a big problem. I think removing the profession is not that big of a deal because it wasn't really doing anything. I doubt many people were using their own profession. So, yeah. I think I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the change.
Something that I would like clarification on is that there's an achievement called Field Medic, and you get a bunch of books, and then you find wounded travelers in the Broken Isles, and when you do all of that, you get the title Field Medic. So, people are, they would like to get this title before it goes away and don't want it to go away. So I wonder if you can still do it. It's just if you trigger the achievement, it will count as a legacy one. But I know people that like collecting things are really curious about what's happening to Field Medic.
Has that one also been moved to legacy so far?
Yeah, I just pulled it up, and yeah,
okay.
it's marked as legacy. So,
because that's an interesting one. It actually takes a long time to get it, or at least it did for me when I tried it a few months ago. I tried to farm it, and I was like, okay, this is taking a long time. And this was before I was geared as well, so it was taking a long time to farm the mobs that were needed. So I'm gonna try it again. Maybe it's easier now that my warlock is geared as well. But it's so you get these quest items from. I think it's like many of them are rare drops from different kinds of mobs, and you hand them in and. There's like 15 different ones, 10 or 15 different ones that you have to hand in. You have to hand in all of them, and that gives you the title. So that means maybe that title will go away. We don't know for sure now, but...
something that would be good to clarify. Yeah. People really like titles. People really like professions or being completionists. So that'd be good to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we got some really cool model news, just some fun images to show quickly. The first thing of note is that a Maghar direwolf mount was data mined, and it's a black wolf that looks really cool with some fun armor on it, and it happens to match the Orc clan armor set very well too. So speculation that they're going to be related to this trainer Orc allied race. And we also, on Friday, we data mined a new Gorgrond map, something like Gorgrond Orc, so there's more speculation that, oh, maybe this is like their little happy allied race area. So it's all interesting. A lot of, it seems like they're coming sooner than later if, we don't even know the Dark Iron mount yet, but we know the Orc clan mount, so.
Yeah.
And there's flavor text for the mount. It is... Where is it? It is native to Draenor. These wolves are preferred by the Maghar for their ferocity, loyalty, and for something to snuggle on those cool winter nights. So, yeah.
Cozy.
I'm really excited to see what happens to them, especially because Sourfang does not really seem thrilled with the Horde right now. So, thrilled with his boss.
So that brings out the crazy speculation again.
Yep. Or if they do join the Horde, it's still going to be like, well, how did they, how did you make this work?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We also got a bunch of just different cool creature models to go through quickly. There is an armored raptor mount that is a recolor of the collector's edition raptor called the Tombstalker. This was super popular on social media. Everyone is like, oh, I want to, kill my mount and res this one instead.
Whoa.
It does look really cool.
It does.
Undead dinosaur. We also, there were some new troll models like King Dazar, who we think is a boss in Atal Dazar. And we finally get to see Zool, who is, we were just talking about him before in the spoiler section, and we keep hearing, how he instigates stuff for the Zandalari, but we never actually see him. So now we finally do get to see him. And
Yeah, look at that bling.
yeah,
So much gold everywhere.
yeah. So he looks pretty powered up and definitely trying to show that he is in charge of things and is, using the riches of the Zandalari to adorn himself. So, he is up to no good.
Another cool model that we wanted to mention is the pigman
Yep, he is
or
a boss
the
called
gluttony
Gluttony.
boss.
Yep.
Yes. I thought the model looks pretty funny, and I just thought maybe you guys wanted to see it, because why not? Just as a little
Yeah.
reminder, I think it looks cool.
And we also data mined a matching weapon, so, it kind of looks like a butcher shop. We'll see where we get that. So yeah, there's also a few more incidental models, like a harvester golem got an update and some other things. Oh, as a side note, we talked about the faceless one updated models last time, and on the Ulduar Time Walking little teaser blog, the footage of Ulduar is showing the updated models, I think. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our final Battle for Azeroth topic is we've got some fun Easter eggs to share, which I think it's really cute how the game, has some personality so early on, in the development cycle. If you are a fan of Stranger Things, you can get the battle pet Dart from a short quest line in Nazmir.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people from my stream do follow this show.
Yeah.
We've even had like movie nights where we've now completed both seasons together, watched them together. So it seems like Dart is actually going to be added to the game, which is really cool. I think that's really cool. You can have Dart as your own pet, and that's really cute. Nice little surprise. I love Easter eggs in Blizzard games, or in World of Warcraft in particular. Always awesome. But yeah, so that was
I can't reach him.
that's how Dart looks like.
Yeah.
Looks very creepy, but it's that's how he looks in the show as well. So.
Yep. I was trying to reach for Pepe, but I can't with this headset. And that's because Pepe is he's now traveled. He's both for the Alliance and the Horde, so he's watching over everyone.
So we see Pepe here in Drustvar.
He is so cute. He's in a cemetery, and there's a bunch of ghosts, so Pepe is fitting in as a ghost.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if you guys can. I can try and zoom in a bit. But he is a bit ghosty. His color is a bit creepy, watching you. And then we also got Pepe in Nazmir right here. And I can also zoom in because you may not see him yet. Let me zoom in.
Yep.
There he is with his mask.
Yep, looking at that very sinister blood moon.
No, Pepe's not dead. He's just acting like a ghost. That's it. It's transmog. That's all.
He has lots of transmog.
Yeah, indeed he does. Wait, actually, I can bring out Pepe. Here.
Oh yay!
I've got my wireless headset, so I can be free. There we go. Pepe can join us for the rest of the show.
Yeah, yay, Pepe.
And I think wait, there was one more Easter egg.
Yeah. So Kermit the Frog and Miggy the Pig it's Kermit the Frog and Miggy the Pig, and they are by a guitar and a rainbow, and this is obviously a reference to the Muppets that has Kermit and Miss Piggy and the song The Rainbow Connection.
Yep. So if there's any old Muppet Show fans, you might be happy about that.
I am replugging my mouse because it froze. There we go. Yay. It's better.
You can check out the Wowhead post if you want to see like the videos and footage to see how they look.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah. On to more stuff on live game.
Yep.
As you guys may know, it is the week of time walking, and what is new for this week is that Ulduar is now available for time walking. A lot of people had a lot of questions about it. Maybe many of them have been answered if you've already run it. If you haven't, loot is equivalent to running Argus normal, and Taurus normal. So item level 930, and it is meant for players at 110 level. They still kept the hard mode possibility. So just like in old Ulduar, you can do the different hard mode tactics to activate the hard mode. Does that change the gear that drops?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of transmog that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when Ulduar started, it used to be 10 normal, 10 hard mode, 25 hard, 25 normal, and 25 hard mode. Or 25 back in the day was called heroic.
Mm-hmm.
And the hard modes, so 10 and 25 had different base loot, and then the hard modes for 10 and 25 also had were different. So there's like 4 tints of every tier 8 set, like 4 tints of every like weapon type. And there's huge variation in Ulduar loot. The way the loot works is that now if you kill the boss on normal difficulty, you get a mix of the loot formally from 10 and 25 base.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kill the boss on hard mode, you get, I think, like one, depending how many people, you get a piece that used to be from 10 or 25, which doesn't affect anything now except for transmog. Or like if you really want a piece that has a certain trinket proc. But yeah, so it's just they just sort of mix it together now.
Okay, so
there's
level
2
is the
difficulties
same.
versus 4. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not, there's no point doing hard mode if you're looking for a higher item level. It's completely different loot. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Got
just
it.
for if you just care about transmog or some achievements. I think need hard mode, or maybe they remove that. No,
Okay.
it's some achievements you need hard mode. So.
And apparently Mimiron's head should also be available as long as you
they
go for
hotfixed that
Yogg
in.
Zero. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Yeah, so apart from transmogs, there's also many achievements. So this means, can you get the achievements that you would normally get in normal mode? Like not time walking? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can get all the achievements done, and they changed how Ulduar works in 7.3.5, so there's no 10-man achievements and 25 achievements. It's all merged together. So if you do complete Glory of the Ulduar Raider, you just automatically get the Rusted Proto-Drake and the Ironbound Proto-Drake. And similarly, if you kill Algalon, you get both the Star Caller and the not Celestial Defender. Why am I? You get the 10 and 25 titles.
Yeah.
Celestial Defender's the Realm First, which is you do not get that title.
No, you don't get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of removed titles, you had some experience with this, right, Perk?
Yeah, so Ulduar was a lot of fun for me, just like a trip down memory lane. I was a raid officer in a guild during Ulduar, and like we got Realm First and Sunwell, but then we didn't do Immortal in Tier 7, and then we had like new leadership, and we decided we wanted to push for achievements and Realm First again. And it was a really cool learning experience because we were first to get like all the hard modes done. We got Yogg Zero done like Realm First back in the day, which was really cool because like it was sort of like our comeback type thing, and it was really, we're practicing it. Like if you didn't have the right people in your raid group, you couldn't try Yogg Zero. So we would do really bizarre setups like Yogg 1, but with an unkillable setup. Like we keep the wrong keeper up just to practice the really hard mechanic. But yeah, it was fun. So I have like the Death Demise title, and then Algalon back in the day, you only had an hour per week to practice him. So you had to be like really efficient.
Yeah.
So we also got the Celestial Defender for that, and
Because after the hour, he just despawned, right?
yeah, it's just like he was gone for the week. So
Yeah.
and that was the same on 10s. So like a lot of things we would do is we would go outside of official raid times and try to make a bunch of groups and get more experience doing the stuff on 10-man. And a lot of the loot was even better on 10-man. Like for rogues, a lot of the 10-man loot was armor pen back in the day. Like there was a really awesome trinket and like a Vase X cape that had sockets, which you would then load up with armor pen. So it was kind of funny how a lot of the 10-man loot was almost like required or highly useful when you were doing a 25 player.
And Ulduar was the first raid that actually introduced the idea of having a hard mode version, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because straight after that was ICC, and that's when you had like normal mode and then heroic mode. With Ulduar, you would go in as normal mode, but then you could do certain tactics or certain things on certain bosses that would then activate the hard mode of it.
Yeah.
So
And
I think there was a lot of
variations,
experimenting.
too. Like with Flame Leviathan, there were four towers and the fight would change in
Oh yeah.
difficulty. It wasn't just like, oh, normal or hard. It's like, well, there's four towers, and depending on how many you destroy,
Mm-hmm.
the fight is incrementally harder.
Mm-hmm.
And like with XT, if you weren't good at DPSing within a certain time, it's like, sorry, you can't do hard mode. Like you didn't do this in the certain amount of time, or same with Hodier. It's just kill them
Yeah.
really fast, and then that's how you do hard mode. Like Freya had three trees. If you kept more elders up, it changed the difficulty. Yogg had the four keepers, so
Mm-hmm.
obviously the more keepers you were giving you aid, the easier the fight
Yeah.
was. There was
Yeah.
like Yogg 3, 2, 1. But yeah, it was cool seeing that much variation, and just like everyone knows things like the Mimiron and the big red button, or the whole
Yeah.
like yeah, I remember you in the mountains with Thorum. Just yeah, it was a really fun raid with a lot of personality and a big step up from Nax. And oh, I almost forgot about this. So back in the day with Ulduar, there was an immortal achievement with Nax required for the glory mount, which was removed.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people thought that it was unfair that immortal was required. And it was
That
really
was
stressful.
for the Black Protodrake and the Plagued
the
one.
Nax,
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
And Ulduar did not have that as part of the meta achievement, but they had a more relaxed version of it, I think, on 10 and 25 player.
Mm-hmm.
And they just rewarded titles, and those were removed later in Wrath. And I remember we pushed to get those, so I'm happy I have the titles at least, even though we never got the 25 Immortal one. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I've got like 4 removed titles from Ulduar, so that's pretty cool.
I'm actually sad that they didn't continue having like more titles, more realm firsts. I mean, I do kind of understand the type of competition that it would lead to would be not very, I guess, healthy for the communities, because it was also for example, the realm firsts when there's a new expansion, like realm first 90s or 100 or whatever. Well, 100, I think 90 was the last one. I actually went for the one at 90, so I actually managed to get realm first 90 warlock, and that was the first time that I actually really tried to do something that was like really, I guess, hard or competing against so many other players, and that was really fun for me. And the fact that they removed those made me sad. I wanted to go for more the next time. I remember having all the tailoring patterns as well, and I knew that I was going to get my warlock realm first because I was ahead of the second warlock by a few hours. And I actually sent all my tailoring stuff to my friend because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get the warlock one, I'll let you have the tailoring one.
Aw, that's really nice.
But
I
then
did
they
something-
removed them. Then I was like, oh no.
I
should
did
have
something
kept
similar with 85 and Cataclysm. I was
Yeah.
going for Realm First and Wrath, but then my internet provider had an outage, and
Oh no.
I remember being in the group where my friends got like the Realm First Northrend Vanguard for like grinding. I was in the group with everyone else that got the Realm First, but I was like
Yeah.
maybe 77 when that happened, and I really wanted to get it in Cataclysm, and I remember my computer broke, so I did it on my laptop, and
No.
I still got it.
You
But
did.
then
Nice.
my friend, the other rogue in the guild, had a quest bug out, and he was really big on achievements too. We had like a friendly competition.
Yeah.
So if 2 people ding in the same minute, they both get the achievement. So I waited on holding in the last quest, so we could time it so I would get the realm first and get the server-wide announcement, but then he would turn this thing right after, and then he would also get the feat of strength, which he cared about. And yeah, we coordinated it, and it worked out, so that was really cool.
It worked out. That's great. That's great. Because I had a warlock who wanted to get the warlock one as well, but he had some issues, so he ended up being like 2 or 3 hours behind me. So I didn't wait. I was like, I can't. Like, you're 2 levels behind me. That's going to take you a few hours.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know him that well either, so I guess that also has a part to do with it. But if he was close by, I would have definitely waited for him. But yeah, I did give away all my tailoring and in effect enchanting as well, because you can just like disenchant stuff, which I kind of regret. I feel bad saying that because I felt good, like giving him something, but I felt sad about it when they mentioned that they were not going to have those anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I do understand why they removed them. I think it led to a lot of like exploits and problems that Blizzard had to deal with.
I mean, being the guild officer in Ulduar at that point, it's like, well, if we had to sit someone in the raid, they couldn't get that cool realm first title. And there was like awkward situations where maybe someone had better attendance, but
You're
they
playing the
weren't
wrong
actually
class.
the right spec to
Yeah.
really push it over and be competitive. And it just wasn't a good feeling having to sit some people to put someone else in that maybe wasn't as like loyal to the guild.
Hmm.
Like I think we even had someone that was a new recruit of the right class and they were in and then they just like pieced out right after and went to a different guild. And
Yeah.
it's just sad how like some people just never got a title even though they would help with the learning and titles weren't even account wide at the point. So, getting people to swap to alts was hard because it's like, oh, I don't want this alt to have this title. Like, I want my main.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't put Pepe on my head because I didn't think he would be visible, but I
aw.
can try.
Yeah, Pepe wants to be on your head.
Need to move my camera though.
Yeah.
Something like that. There we go. Is that better? Sass is like, he has clips, Annie. I'm just concerned about the camera angle being weird, that's
Yeah.
all. But yeah, there he is. It's messing
Yeah.
with my hair, but that's okay. That's Pepe for you. It's perfect? Okay, good.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun reminiscing, but we've got a few more live topics we want to
Yeah,
cover.
let's keep on going.
Yeah.
Oh, this one actually affects me. So one of the recent hotfixes was to do with the dungeon experience, and I actually mentioned it last week on the show as well, right? I think we talked
Yeah.
about it.
You caused it.
It was my fault.
caused this change.
I'm sorry, guys. So basically, there was a very popular way of boosting low levels by having a high level go through instances such as stockades and Hellfire Ramparts to boost low level players. And it seems like the experience has been nerfed. They mentioned it in a hotfix. They've not mentioned specific numbers, but there has been people
Right.
who are commenting, and the guesses are that the mobs give about 1/5 of the experience that they used to, and the experience that you get after completing the dungeon is about half or a bit less than half. So that's a pretty big nerf. I don't think
Yeah.
if it was worth it before, I don't think it's worth it anymore. What they did to compensate, or not compensate, but what they did to make the dungeons more interesting is that they did increase the experience. They used the word significantly. I'm not sure how much it
Yeah.
was. They increased the experience that you gain when you queue up for a random dungeon. So at least if you are a low level character and you do decide to do a dungeon, you should be more rewarded. Which I guess in a way is a better model of the game that should be existing. I'm kind of sad though, because something that I noticed with this was that in Hellfire Ramparts, because I did boost a few characters this way.
Right.
And in Hellfire Ramparts, there was a lot of world PvP going on just because of this. And I thought that was really fun. It was kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, nostalgic in a way. Like everyone was around the instance and people were killing like the boosties of each other. And
Right.
it was really fun. But yeah, so that's now nerfed.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. It's all my fault because I mentioned it last week. No, it's I don't think
Well,
it's my
I
fault.
know in our Gumdrops in his economy post on Wowhead on Saturdays has been really highlighting this a lot too, because there's been discussions on like how much should you advertise to run your friend through, how much gold is appropriate for an hour of your time. So that people have definitely been talking about this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, in more positive, clear-cut news, Blizzard has also announced via hotfix that the return of the Auction House API. This is important because it helps power services like the Undermine Journal and Trade Skill Master.
Yep.
And it was down since the start of 7.3.5, so I mean, it must be pretty nerve-wracking, like if you're a fan site or a service and you rely on an API and it's totally down. It's like, oh well, there goes out cool features.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I use TSM on a daily basis, so for me, because I could see like with the add-on last time it's been updated and it said like 20 days and I'm like, what is happening? I can't see how much this is worth anymore. I don't see if it's on the auction house even, but now you can now the API is up and running, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I have thoughts on the API, which is just like, I wish Blizzard would communicate better because it is really stressful when like your whole site is just sort of up in the air. But hopefully they can use it as a learning experience, that they should not stress developers and creators out that, try to do educational features. But fingers crossed, we never know when they're data mining. So I I'm not really sure Blizzard knows when stuff is coming up, but it would be less stressful for the people creating these features to know when, what's going on.
Yeah.
So their stuff isn't down for weeks. So we've got some tinfoil hat a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got our Zorathian cultist friends on the store.
They're back.
And they are casting Fel channeling again. The last time they did this, the cast ended on Tuesday, January 16th, which was the release date of patch 735. And their previous channel also lined up with some important date. I think it was like maybe on Taurus Opened or something like that. So what is they're going to be up to something. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, so they're going. The channel that we're talking about ends on Wednesday, March 7th, early in the morning.
So
it's not a Tuesday.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's roughly 21 days at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, "What's going to happen then? Something must happen then." So what do you think it refers to?
I think I like the idea of probably more quest lines for the Silithus. I think we all felt like there's things missing from there. Like there's more to learn from there. The quest lines were pretty short when we went there. We were done pretty fast. I'm hoping and thinking that it's probably that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get the Seething Shore as well, maybe.
Oh.
So Seething Shore, maybe something up with the artifact weapons.
Yeah.
I wonder who's in charge of this at Blizzard, because they weren't casting for a while and now they are again. Like,
it's actually a funny sort of joke too.
Yep.
Like something's happening, or is it?
Right.
Open
I
beta.
like how,
I guess we'll see.
yeah, that would be funny. I was gonna say it's funny how like the doomsayers have really silly comments in Dalaran, but some of what they say is actually really serious, and it's like, oh, there are these cultists again, and they're a bit strange, but somehow they know what's up.
Yeah.
But yeah, our final topic, just as a reminder, to enter, we're actually giving away, if you want to Shuzen, the Divine Sentinel mount, type in doggo as the giveaway keyword in Twitch chat. And yeah, there is a dog mount named Shuzen. He is, yeah, surprise.
Like introducing it after.
Yeah. And this was really interesting. He's available on the US and EU shops for $25 or euros. And it was interesting because he popped up on Chinese realms on Friday night as part of the Lunar Festival celebration, and there was some worry because on the Chinese realms, you could get this mount for free if you bought 180 days of game time during the spring festival. And people were like, oh, is this a Chinese-only mount, or do I have to spend all this money? But China always does a special promotion with a mount each year during the Lunar Festival. Like last year, if you bought all the game time, you got a magic rooster egg.
Oh,
so
really?
this year,
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they always do something cool for every single game. So this year, you get Shuzen if you buy 180 days of game time, which is pretty expensive. And then on US and EU, it's available from the shop. And he looks really cool. He's like a happy paladin dog.
And I was surprised when I mounted this because the dog actually flies. I'm not sure if that's surprising to others, but I thought that was surprising. So good to know the dog actually does fly as well. So it's a flying mount.
Yeah, the flavor text is funny too. It's as the Golden Lotus worked tirelessly to repair the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, a single statue came to life and wordlessly defended them from the Shah that assaulted them. Believed by some to be a sign of good fortune and others to be a gift from the light, Shuzen provides faithful companionship to any that would defend Azeroth from the maddening whispers of the old gods. So, old god speculation again.
Yeah.
So this is like a really good mount that I think Lightforged and I, as well as monks, like, with the, Pandaria theme. And Blizzard is hotfixing the dimensions of the mount because they thought it wasn't floofy enough and he wasn't large enough, so they've been tinkering with the size of the mount. But yeah, he's a very good dog. Yeah.
So is that a bit bigger now?
Yeah, they said he's getting 30% more floof in a hotfix later today, and then there was another hotfix where they were saying it was properly scaling based on what race you were playing.
Something I want to mention, which is I guess like in similar thought, well, not exactly similar, but Tyrell's Charger, amount that was given to people a few years ago if you signed up for WoW for, what was it, 1 year, I think? 1 year of subscription. This mount was for us, or for EU and NA, available if you bought game time, or like signed up to for sure be subscribing for that amount of game time. And on Taiwanese servers, it was available as a store mount. So this idea of one region having it for game time and another region having it for sale is not completely new. And on the topic of that as well, recently, just as this mount was actually introduced a few days ago, people started reporting that their Tyrell's Charger actually disappeared. So there were some people who would go on to the Taiwanese server, buy the mount over there, and then connect it to their EU account or NA account and get the mount there. And they had it for this whole time until now. So it's been like a month or two, and people who bought it like that got those mounts removed. So it seems like they did not like the idea of people going to a different like region to buy something just because it's available there in the shop, and it's available for game time somewhere else. You should not like cross them.
Got a few questions I want to answer quickly. Some of them were asked, and then we actually just addressed them in the show, so apologies if I skip over them. Smelly TV says, with the hints towards an old god being involved in BFA, has there been any more info directly related to N'Zoth and the assumptions drawn so far from the maps and locations in Chronicle Volume 1 matching Kulturas and Zandalar locations? We discussed this a little bit last week, and we keep data mining a few things of spells called like N'Zoth Transform. We've data mined a few NPCs today actually called like, it wasn't like this is the boss and N'Zoth, but it implies that he'll like appear in a vision or a cutback. It's like N'Zoth trigger or something like that.
Yeah, his name has definitely been mentioned.
Yeah, and there's like some spells as well as the language of the old gods as a spell, and Yogg has a spell as well. That's coming, and also, as we discussed in the spoiler section, some dialogue hinting at Queen Ashara, who we know transformed with N'Zoth's help. Angel Light is also asking, why is there no post about Holy Paladin animations? One of the animations is a big box, and we think if we highlight stuff before it's when it's too incomplete, it just leads to a bunch of memes and a bad impression of the game, and we're keeping an eye on it. We just don't want to have a gigantic picture of a box on the front page instead of where a leave room should be. Let's see.
Before we go into the next one, I just want to say that Sass actually chose a winner. The winner is called 14S Zephyr. Remember that to claim your prize, you have to whisper Sass. So go ahead and do that so it doesn't get rerolled. I just wanted to mention that. And congrats. Congrats as well.
Yay. Just a few people are asking about Ulduar achievements and loot. A lot of them are covered in our Ulduar guides. I'll forward all the questions to Knight Swifty, who is one of our new guide writers maintaining things like the mount and pet and achievement guides on Wowhead, so if it's not addressed in the guide, he will make a note of it. And someone, I'm just saying this for visibility because I don't know, but Pizio Gaming says, do you know by any chance if Blizzard will implement a fix for the Rogue Tour 21 boots since they're missing on the loot table and you can't finish them for the set or transmog? So I don't know, but I agree it should be fixed because I'm a big fan of transmog, and Blizzard seems to be really trying to make an effort to fix all the sets, and I think it's also doubly important because the Shaman Tier 21 is like very Zandalari, and the Rogue Tier 21 is very Kulturas, and it would be weird if you couldn't be wearing your like expansion themed set that's meant to be designed around what Battle for Azeroth looks like.
Please fix Blizzard. Bible thump.
So that's it with questions. I just wanted to have a quick note before we end about some site features and guides. Didn't put this in the notes, sorry, but it's like really super quick. We have new Ulduar guides up for strategy and loot. We have a master class changes post up. If you type in Battle for Azeroth on Wowhead, you'll have a list of like all of our overview guides, and the class changes covers everything from 7.35 to 8.0, not just like, here's the changes from Tuesday through Friday. we also, a lot of people have been asking for this. We should highlight this more next week, but basically a lot of people were asking if they could just see a bunch of images for like everything of a weapon type on Wowhead. And we've actually had that for like years at this point, but it's been buried in a tab on the items database page. And people kept asking for it, and we're like, well, obviously we're not promoting this well enough, so we made a special database section called Transmog Items that is just the little thumbnails that you click on to open the model viewer, and you can see like all daggers at once or all swords at once, or you can filter and be like, I only want to see swords from Ulduar. And we took advantage of those URLs in that system in the new Ulduar Transmog guide we got up yesterday. So yeah, I should make a note next week of like all the guides we're actually getting up for the expansion, because my goal is to like have like a little guide team always doing guides at the same time the news team is, you know, cranking out the news each week, so we don't fall behind on, you know, either type of content. And you should have some stuff to show next week.
Yeah, I think the idea of transmog and everything has increased in popularity so much. I think ever since it was introduced as a real like collecting thing, like having the book and everything, unlocking transmog has in itself just increased the interest so much. So it's awesome having more tools for things like that.
Yeah, and there's one more thing I wanted to mention. We were experimenting by putting Wowhead Weekly on the front page of Wowhead and making the weekly news post when we stream on Twitch, as opposed to doing the post with the YouTube VOD, and I think it's been really good. Like, we've seen a lot more people watching the show, and it just seems to make more sense. I think doing that, like, you know, the people on the front page can watch the show.
If we we're on the front page now, right?
We're on the front page now.
Hey, Wowhead. Hey. Don't be afraid to tune into Twitch as well. Then we can read your comments.
And if we like last week, for example, I was planning on doing the post on Friday, and then we got a new beta build, and I'm like, well, it's kind of weird to highlight the YouTube video because some stuff's outdated, so I think it's good to share it on the site while the information is, you know, fresh and live, and then you can kind of see our show notes and highlighted topics on the site as well if you want to like see all the URLs we're talking about.
That's the really interesting part as well. So if you watch it on the website, you have access to all the different links. Which means if you wanted to look at a picture that we only showed for like 5 seconds, maybe you want to look at it for 10 seconds, then you actually have the links available, which is pretty convenient.
Yeah, I know that the front page news post looks a little not perfect design, so we're going to make it look nicer next week because, it's been a success, and we want to highlight more of just Wowhead streams in general on the front page, so we'll make the page look even prettier in the near future.
Any feedback is very welcome.
Yeah. So I'm about done with my stuff. So
I think we're done here. Actually, I want to mention one other thing on the topic of Shuzen. Is that right? Shuzen?
Yeah, I think so.
Shuzen. On topic of Shuzen, the mount that we just mentioned, the giveaway that was in the chat right now, I actually have a giveaway going on my own Twitter. I'm giving away 2 of the codes. Actually, I don't think I pinned it. I will pin it on my Twitter. So my Twitter is Annie Fuchsia, and I'm giving away 2 of those over there if you're interested. And I'm also giving away another 3 of them on Saturday. And these codes have been given to me by Blizzard, so it's been quite exciting. I think it's the first time ever that Blizzard has gifted me a mount, and on top of that, given me codes for it as well. So that's really cool. I think Blizzard is. I think they're just approving of the mount addiction. And
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can get the big love rocket, so you get it.
Yeah, I have over 1,000 attempts on that love rocket. I still don't have it. Still don't.
When you can get it, it will be worth it, though.
Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to quickly mention that if you're interested, and if you were not the winner of the current one in the chat, there's still some chance to win it. So and that was it. I think that's it for us tonight, guys. And for the future, does Perculia have the love rocket?
No, I don't have that one. No. It's one I'm missing. I was super into mounts and pets. I don't have as much time to farm because I've been doing alpha so much. But I'm happy with my Mimiron's head and my Invincible that I got like second on the server. So those are my like prestige pets.
That's awesome. So, I got those really late. I had to farm them afterwards. Took me a while. But yeah, speaking of mounts, I'm actually almost at 500 mounts. Like
Wow, that's really cool.
if you open it, not like per character, but if you open the mount tab in the game, it's at 500,
Yeah.
and I think it's at 440 something on character. So always
awesome.
excited to get more mounts.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that's it for us tonight, guys. I want to thank you all for hanging out. Extra shout out to people on front page. Hello, guys. If it's the first time you're tuning in, Wowhead Weekly goes on every week at the same time. Actually, speaking of time, we started 1 hour earlier this time. So we started at 1 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Central European time. And this is the new time that we will stick to. Still Thursdays, so it's still the same day, but it's a 1 hour earlier. So
yeah, if the timing still feels weird or if other stuff overlaps, we won't try to overlap with stuff. But we think that like earlier is like it seems clear to do it now. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does make it a little bit more EU friendly as well. So maybe we can get some more EU people in, which is always a positive. Yeah. So that was the comment on the time. As usual, the VOD will always be uploaded to YouTube as well. So if you missed the show, don't have to worry too much. It'll be on YouTube and you can watch the show there as usual. The only difference is that you can't take part in live questions and you can't take part in the giveaways. But apart from that, you know, all the content is available on YouTube as well. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I saw a lot of new subscribers and stuff. Most of them happened in the middle of speaking about something, so I didn't want to like interrupt what's going on. But I did see most of them. Thank you guys so much for subbing. And also a special thank you and shout out to people who are subscribed on Wowhead for Wowhead Premium. If you're not familiar with what that is basically a subscription on the Wowhead website, which gives you a few perks, which is pretty neat, like having your unique color in the forums and also removing all the ads on the website and supporting Wowhead, of course, which supports the show as well. What else did I want to mention? I think that's it, Perk. Are you ready to say goodbye?
Yep, I'm ready to say goodbye. Brightpaw's been asleep for the whole show, so...
Oh my god, yeah, he hasn't shown himself at all. He was there at the beginning and poking at stuff, and now he's just, like, calmed down in the corner.
I know. I can't wait for him to just destroy the plushies again.
Soon.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm good here.
We'll see you guys next week, then.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week, Thursday, at 1 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Central European time. I can't believe I actually got the time zones now.
Yay!
Only took 7 shows. Yeah, for those who don't know, I keep having like a new thing to think about all the time. This is how I am on stream as well. Like I say bye, but then I have a new thing to talk about. This is the 7th time with me as the host of the show, and I'm feeling great about it. I'm feeling very home, and I feel like you guys are great, and I'm getting great feedback as well. And anything which is criticism that can be improved, I'm working on it. So thank you guys for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that's the last word, I promise.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.